Hello, you music fans. You may be people who play a lot of CDs. You might do a little bit of naughty streaming. We all do a bit of that, don't we? Maybe you've got an 8-track or you like cassettes, but this is Full Record Jacket with Phil
Yeah.
and Ben. There's Ben.
Hi.
And yeah, we talk about all kinds of music on this show, but we do like to do a little bit of vinyl because only vinyl records really have jackets, and otherwise the show title wouldn't really
It
work.
would be. I've just realised, Phil, I've got the world's largest forehead.
No, because I've got the world's largest forehead.
Oh,
So
I've got the world's second largest forehead. I mean, my hairline, it looks worse on camera than what it actually is. It's quite a good hairline, but it seems to be going further back my skull.
it's it's pretty groovy.
Yeah. And
Well,
I keep this silly light that I've got. I won't say silly because it was a present and I appreciate it, but I look like I've got the Mysterons coming after me. Look, woo.
now it just so happens you've got a new slice of vinyl. Well, we think that's what's in the box.
I think it's what's in the box, Phil.
Yeah, it's an unboxing, folks. So have we got to do some kind of quiz to guess what it is?
Yeah, I'll give you. It got released today.
Well, the album was released today.
The album got released. Well, that's if that's what it is. It's
Okay.
either a 12-inch vinyl or it's a dinner plate.
Okay, well,
So it's going to be one of the two.
Okay, is it? Yeah, well, I'm thinking
Released today, as of the 2nd of June, in the year 2049. We are speaking to you from the future.
Okay, so
I don't just brush the future off, Phil.
I'm just trying to think. Has it been released on this day? Because isn't today the Sergeant Pepper? When was Sergeant Pepper was released in early June '67, wasn't it? Was it the 2nd of June? So has it been deliberately chosen for a release date on this date?
Could have been. I don't know.
Is it an artist who's a bit of a Beatles fan? Is that a clue?
I would say that his influences do lie with 4 people from Liverpool. Yes, a lot of his influences.
I'm thinking I know who this is.
Shall we? I tell you what, I'll open it.
Yeah.
God almighty, what they glued it with. Well, right. All right. Now, I'll get it to the point. I mean, normally I do these as shorts. So this is the first time we're going to see this works. Oh, got past the parcel. There's like a mountain of cardboard. Oh, what's this bit of cardboard here?
Oh, right.
There's
okay.
A bit of cardboard.
I thought it was just like a paper. I thought it was a paper bag at first, where you just ripped that bit off the front.
No, I'm just checking because there's normally something. Right, here it is. Now this is. And what do you? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Oh yeah. Oh, what do you reckon it is, Phil?
Well,
and you know what? This is one of 2 versions of this. I forgot. I've ordered it twice.
Well,
I've got a limited edition box set of it coming as well.
Well, this is a brand new album that's just been released.
But it's just been released today.
I think the person who has just done an album, and I must admit I'm not totally au fait with whether it's already come out or not, but I knew it was imminent. That's Noel Gallagher and his High Flying Birds.
It is Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds and his brand new album, Council Skies.
Now, I heard a snippet of an interview with him earlier on, and he's doing a gig on a council estate in Manchester. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, something like the biggest council estate in Europe or something like that, he was saying.
That's where he's kind of going back to his roots.
Yeah, look at him. He looks all grumpy there, doesn't
he? The thing is, I was watching some clips the other day of Oasis in the 90s, and it's quite. And I was also looking at the photos in the Definitely Maybe CD.
Yeah, and
it's quite shocking how young they look.
Well, if you think about it, Liam was only 21. Noel was only 20. He's 5 years older, so he was 26.
They didn't look young when I was following them at the time, and now they suddenly look amazingly young.
Yeah,
even though the photographs haven't changed at all. So so that's is that what they call a splatter vinyl or something?
I think they called it a splatter vinyl. How cool does that look? That's sexy, isn't it? It's almost as sexy as my shirt.
There you go.
Which I could write a song about that. I think about being too sexy for my shirt.
So has anyone reviewed that album yet?
I have read some reviews. Now, The Guardian gave it 2 out of 5 because that's The Guardian.
Okay.
And they don't think that music sort of, anything after 1923 is. But every other review has given it 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5. I think Metric has it at 85%. It's a very beautiful album. Sonically, it's very rich in its sound. We were talking about Standing on the Shoulders of Giants, and it's sort of different. It sounds like a very full, sonically complete album.
So who's he worked with on this album?
I think the normal crew. He hasn't had David Holmes producing it like he did on... Oh, I've just realised. This is number 3,389 of 5,000.
Okay.
So it's a limited edition one. So, yeah. But I don't think his backing band's changed much. I think he's still got the guy from the Zootons on bass. I don't remember their names. The French lady with the scissors. I think he's got Paul Sharrock on drums. Obviously, Gem's on lead guitar.
That's Gem Archer.
Gem Archer, yeah. And Paul Sharrock obviously was with Oasis in the latter days, and obviously then went on to be in PDI with them. So I'm not sure who's produced it. I don't know if Noel's produced it. I'll go on to here because the internet is the source of all information.
The high-flying birds are still flying high.
They are still flying high. Do you know what? And we talk about Oasis a lot, maybe because they were the band that were there in my formative years of getting into music. Even though my first love was reggae, and then it was sort of like the Beatles, and then I discovered Oasis, man.
I was thinking about these album reviews when a brand new album comes out, and if an album becomes very successful...
Paul Stacey produced it with him.
Okay.
So, and I think Paul Stacey's been... I think he was in Oasis, wasn't he? Was he the keyboard player or something in Oasis? But
you're the expert
Paul
on
Strange Boy Stacey, isn't it? I think is that what I'm thinking of? So, yeah.
Yeah, I was just having this thought. This is sort of a general thought, really, about music. When albums come out, they have these reviews published, and I think these journalists review the albums too soon after they've come out, because you can't... I don't believe... I even wonder... I'll tell you what I listened to the other day. I'm going off a bit more of a tangent. I listened to... on the BBC here in the UK, there's a radio show, and this comedian presents it, and his name has gone out of my mind, but it's called
Graham Norton.
It's called Confessions. No, it's one of these. He's a bit more alternative than that. I've totally forgotten his name. It's called Confessions, and they have a person on every week as the guest who decides to confess things that they've never confessed before in their life. And I'm trying to remember now who it is, and I'm sure that our people...
Is it on Radio 4?
It's on. I think it's on Radio 4, but I may be completely wrong about that.
Oh, is it Stephen Mangan?
That's him. I'm sure, and our overseas viewers won't know who he is anyway, but he's a British comedian. But they had...
Well, he's been in loads of films, hasn't he? He was in that programme with... He was in the programme with... what's his name? Matt LeBlanc, and he did the voice of Postman Pat in the Postman Pat movie as well.
So he's an international superstar. I should have realised.
Yeah, no, he was in... I'll tell you what. You carry on with your point, and I'll find out what
where I'm going with this. Well, he interviewed David Quantick, who's a music journalist. He's been a music journalist in the UK. I think he's now 60-odd. But David Quantick used to be one of the key journalists at the NME, the New Musical Express. And back in the 90s, the NME was a very influential weekly music paper, because we didn't have the internet, and that was a way that a lot of people found out about music, particularly the slightly more alternative music. And David Quantick confessed on this program that when he reviewed gigs, quite often he'd never actually been to the gig, and he wrote gig reviews in the NME of concerts he'd never been to. And
that doesn't surprise me.
And he said that the only way he justified it to himself was that he never gave a band a bad review for a concert that he hadn't been to. He always said nice things about them if he hadn't been
Yeah.
to the show. And he sometimes got information from other people who he knew who'd gone to them, whatever. But, so effectively, really a fake review because journalists are, supposed to have been
It's
to
not
the
just
show.
Amazon then.
So it does make me wonder how much they have actually listened to these albums, especially when it's your job to listen to all these albums.
Yeah, because, I mean, we've looked back at, take Standing on the Shoulders of Giants that we recorded the other week. That album has, to me, got better with age. You can never, I suppose it's, all these reviews are impact reviews. I mean, look at Be Here Now, got 5 out of 5, and then retrospectively everybody panned it, and now everybody's sort of saying that it was a great album. And I mean, I think it's a great album anyway, but I think they were like impact reviews, aren't they? It's your initial sort of thoughts,
Yeah.
but until you revisit them, sometimes it can take years for an album to become, lodged in the mind or a classic.
Well, yeah, I mean, with that album, for example, that was the Oasis Come Down album and
Yeah.
sort of the Oasis reinventing themselves album. And of course, at the time, it was maybe seen as a letdown because the three before had been, these phenomenally successful albums.
Well, nobody likes The Hangover, obviously not the film, but when you've been out, you don't like the After Effects.
So that album now, you can look back on it in context and see it with a distance, from a distance, and you see it in a different way. So that's one issue I have with reviewing brand new records that have only just come out. How can you actually absorb it all? And if you're a fan of the artist, you're going to give the record much more of a chance and be much more open-minded about it than someone who's just got the job of reviewing it. So I have that issue. But what I was trying to say originally, where I was going off on this tangent, is
I like a tangent.
When an album
I'm just
is
going to
successful,
move this light, Phil, because
okay, you do that.
Me.
So when an album is successful and it becomes
better.
popular and lots of people have heard it, that can sort of form the view of that album because lots of people heard it and whatever. If an album is a comparative flop in an artist's catalogue, not many people have heard it, and the only thing that really shapes the view of it is the reviews it had when it came out. So the album gets this reputation of being, their disappointing fifth album or whatever. And that kind of sticks. And obviously there have been albums that have been reevaluated over the years. I mean, the most famous one I can think of off the top of my head is Paul McCartney's Ram, which got massively slagged off at the time. And
is that the one where he's shaving a sheep on the front?
Yeah, and even Ringo said some unkind things about it when it came out, so that helps to cement this.
He did Thomas the Tank Engine.
This bad image of it, but that was rehabilitated. But I think maybe many other albums that haven't been and are still stuck with this reputation based on, in many cases, that initial reception. And I don't know whether I was being interesting saying that or not, but that's just what popped into my head.
I completely get it. I think there's a lot of albums out there which people have panned over the time, which I've then gone back and listened to and thought, you know what, it's not actually that bad. Retrospectively, if you actually take the time, get your own sort of judgments out the way, like Flowers in the Dirt by Paul McCartney, awful album cover, awful, and that's prejudged my determination to hate it. But when I played it, it's not that bad.
It's not bad at all, no.
But
yeah, the cover can make a difference as well, for sure. Bad covers have sunk albums. I've no doubt about that.
Oh, Paul McCartney's done a few of them. But Be Here Now, I don't think that's a particularly great album cover because it's iconic now because of what that album meant at the time, and it was such a big fork in the road for music. But I think it's actually quite a rubbish album cover.
Is it a bit too calculated with them all sitting around the swimming pool?
Yeah, and all the bits just around the pool and the
Rolls Royce and all that stuff.
Yeah, it just felt like. Whereas Morning Glory, definitely Maybe's album cover is brilliant because it feels natural.
Yeah.
And then obviously the Morning Glory one, it's just two blokes walking down the street.
Yeah.
And it has no conceptual meaning in any way apart from it has nothing to do with the title. Well, I don't, none of it, I don't, nor definitely Maybe, I suppose. But yeah, Be Here Now, I would say that the album cover is worse than what people thought the album then became. But I think the album just suffered from that backlash of becoming so big. Once the pressure builds, there's only one way to go, and you're going to blow the top off. And people don't like it when they get custard all over the walls.
Some albums do get overpraised on release as well. Of course, that also happens as well.
Yeah.
So there we go. So Council Skies from Noel Gallagher. Guardian gave it 2 out of 5.
Yeah.
Sounds. Well, you'd have to not like Noel Gallagher to give it 2 out of 5. I'm thinking it can't be that bad if they're giving. Most of them are giving it 4 or 5. Surely, the tunes. There must be some good tunes on there. But
I mean, the lyrics are really good. There's no what I would call lazy lyrics in it. Like I can see a liar sitting by the fire, but it's sonically really, and I use the word sonically enough. And I watch our videos back and I go, "Stop using the word sonically, you absolute tool." But I'm going to use it. It's just a nice feeling in your ears. It's just a nice album. There's throwbacks to Oasis. There's those sort of ballady sort of ones. There's what's it called? I haven't become that au fait. Dead to the World. Quite almost that sort of laid back, blurrish sort of, feel of tender and stuff like that. But it's an amazing song. And while I was listening to it on my way home today, I was like, to be someone like Noel Gallagher or a Paul McCartney or Damon Albarn, because I prefer later Blur stuff than I do the early Blur stuff. I find the early Blur stuff a bit too apples and pears, and apples and pears. But just to keep writing songs of a equal quality, that takes some talent, don't it? You got to give it to these guys. It does take some talent.
Yeah, and it's good they're still making records, and it's good they're still giving us things to review and listen to. And you don't have to like the latest stuff if you don't want to. You can stick to your 3 Oasis albums and not listen to any of Noel's solo stuff if that's what you want to do. But
there's more Oasis albums than that, Phil. Don't Believe the Truth, great album.
Well, yeah,
Dig Out Your Soul. Everybody sort of says, "Oh, that's my worst Oasis album," but do you know what? It's a really good album. It sort of shows the direction, and this has become I know it is going to be a bit of an Oasis talk because we're discussing Noel Gallagher's new album. But Dig Out Your Soul showed the direction that Noel was wanting to go in with his songwriting. It's a bit more avant-garde, a bit more abstract, a bit more sort of, playing with sounds, as it were.
I need to give it another spin because I haven't heard it in quite a while.
It's good. It's good. It sort of shows the direction to where albums like Who Built the Moon and that, you can sort of see that was the foundations to where he was wanting to go. Songs like High Horse Lady, that's a really great song. Go listen to it, Phil. I'm going to be listening to that later. I probably won't play that one because it's obviously a limited edition one. I'm going to wait for me other one to come, which I think might be a limited edition one as well. So one of them's going to have to get played. Which one? Nobody knows.
Okay, so that's Council Escape.
Council Escape.
Escape.
Sounds like a rubbish film with Steven Seagal. Council Estate.
Council Estate Skies. Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. Have you heard it yet? Have you had a screen?
Council Estate Skies. No, it's just Council Skies film.
Isn't there a council? Oh no, isn't there something about estate on it? No, I don't.
No. The front cover, I think, may be now. I'm not sure if it is a council estate on there, but that is actually where the centre circle for Main Road was, which was Manchester City's home ground up until they moved to the Etihad. Council Escape does sound like a straight to DVD Steven Seagal film.
If you're watching in North America and you don't quite know what a council estate is, I think it's what they would call a housing project in the US.
Yeah, social housing.
That's just in case you didn't know.
He's like an encyclopedia of knowledge that you should know, really. So, well done, Phil, for educating us.
Well, if you've heard this album, or if you've got a view on it, let us know what you think, and
we will do a full review on it. We'll do a full review on it, Phil, because I've said so.
Well, I've absorbed it. Yeah, we'll do it. I haven't. It's a while since I've got into a brand new album, so I will do it this weekend. Okay, I'll start listening to it.
Roger Dodger,
and we'll do that soon. Okay, that is it. Council Skies. No estate in there. Thanks for watching.
Be good.